set it aside, and that your Spirit might dwell. Where our own private things that take place in our life occupy our mind, that in this hour and this time that you would set that aside so that the work of your city might be for us. And I also pray, Lord God, that when this day is done and we go to bed tonight, that we know that whatever decisions we made have been in the best interest of our city, of those who are impoverished and least among us, as well as those who are greatest among us. So come, Lord, and pour out your blessings upon us. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Place the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And Madam Clerk, can you call the roll for us?
Mr. Bradford?
Here.
Mr. Everson?
Here.
Mr. Jenkins?
Present.
Mr. Corbin?
Here.
Mr. Flurry?
Here.
Ms. Lynch? Here. Mr. Bowman?
Here. All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, and that is a motion from Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilman Fleury, to approve the minutes of the administrative conference meeting on Monday, March 9th, and city council meeting on Tuesday, March 10th, 2015.
Ms. Lynch?
Looks like all votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously. All right. Do we have any council members that have any awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests today?
Distinguished guest, yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
I had to recognize my pastor. I saw him out here somewhere. Theron Jackson. There he is.
There he is.
How you doing, sir?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Council. It is always a privilege to be here, and I promise not to take up much of your time, but I would be remiss if I did not. To the Mayor, thank you so much for your service, and all of you all who make up this leadership team, if you will. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Mr. Bowman. I wanted to do, just a few weeks ago, I had the privilege of standing at the Caddo Parish Commission meeting, and at that meeting, I had the pleasure of recognizing two people who I have the privilege of serving, Chairman Mr. Lyndon Johnson and then Ms. Stormy Watts, who represents District 7. I come today to do the same thing in this meeting for fear that Councilman Bowman watched that meeting and and think he's been overlooked. I want to, if you would, if at the council's pleasure, just make this presentation on behalf of the Morning Star Missionary Baptist Church, the people in District G, and all those people who Councilman Bowman represents, to just say congratulations to Councilman Jerry Bowman Jr., Shreveport City Councilman representing District G, and to say thank you for the work that you are doing and the work that you will do. So just a small token of our appreciation.
All right, thank you so much, Theron, and congratulations, Councilman Bowman. We happy to have you on the team, and looking forward to more work in the future together. And I know we may have some other requests. I don't see any, but if anybody else has anybody they'd like to recognize. If not, then Mayor Tyler. Do we have any communications from the Mayor's office at this point?
Yes, sir, we do. Mr. Chairman and members of the council, we have several different recognitions, and also we have one or two reports. First, we'd like to recognize Mr. Bruce Roberts and Mr. Ronnie Remedies, President of North Shreveport Business Association, and thank them for their $14,700 donation to the police department for the civil disturbance equipment. If they will stand and please come up.
Guys.
Thank you all so much for your support. Okay, would you like to say something?
Well, we're very happy to give this money to the police department. We're have done a lot over the years with first responders, both the fire department and the police department, and have done quite a bit of equipment that they've needed that they could not get otherwise. So anything that we can do, we ask them to just give us a call, and we'll see if it's possible for us to do it.
Yeah, I agree with everything Bruce said. We're so delighted to have a wonderful police department to stand behind, and we thought it was so important that they have the equipment needed to protect them in the event that they needed to address a civil disturbance. So that's important to our city, it's important to our police officers, and we're happy to do it.
Thank you. And let me say, they're both being very humble. In 1987, many of you were here, we had 23,300 Part 1 crimes in this city. You know from the annual report we gave you last council meeting that we're down to 10,700 for 2014. We've reduced crime by more than half since 1987. Now, we got a lot of great men and women out there in those cars that are really doing the job, but we can't do it by ourselves. In 1987, when crime was that bad, that's when this group began. They actually began as Agers Business Association, and they're one of the first groups that banded together, contacted the police department, contacted the Caddo Sheriff's Office, and said, enough's enough. We need to band together. We need to do something about this. And it's because of efforts of them, other business groups in the city that have grown since that time, and the citizens that have called us over and over again, that we're able to get this reduction. In 1987, when they started, they collected money and they gave officers bullet-resistant vests. Believe it or not, there was a time when the city didn't have the money, and they didn't provide officers with bulletproof vests. Agers stepped up at its inception and started providing bullet-resistant vests. They participate in Operation Santa Claus. They buy signs for our sign initiative we do all over town. Every year, they do something new. And there's never been a time when we've called Mr. Roberts, Mr. Ramirez, Debbie Martin, and asked for anything if they didn't say, hold on, let me see how we can help you. Now, Ms. Martin was not able to be here today, but she did ask me to read this letter to y'all on her behalf. So with your permission, Mr. Chair.
Please do.
Dear Mayor Tyler, Shreveport City Council, Shreveport Police Department Chief Shaw, NSBA board members, and other distinguished guests. The early arrival of my first grandchild, Matthew Martin Hurst, has kept me in New Orleans for a few more days. Our family has been blessed with a beautiful and healthy baby boy. I plan to address each of you in person today, but God had other plans for me. I appreciate the opportunity for my comments to be read in my absence. It is an honor to be associated with a community that is very committed and concerned about the safety of the men and women that protect the citizens of Shreveport. It is also that community that participates and supports the various efforts of the North Shreveport Business Association to assist us with providing much-needed equipment and other things for law enforcement and first responders. Our recent monetary donation to the Shreveport Police Department is a small gesture of our deepest gratitude and appreciation for their continued service. It is also our hope that the Shreveport City Council will unanimously approve our donation for the purchase of this protective equipment for the police department. Our association looks forward to our continued help in this community when called upon. With kindest regards, Miss Debbie Martin, immediate past president.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
while these distinguished gentlemen are before us, I'd like to suspend the rules and we adopt Resolution 41.
I'll second that. We have a motion by Councilman Bradford, seconded by the chair, to suspend the rules.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we probably need to read it into the record. Just the title.
Good idea to
Please
read it, huh?
Well, okay.
We're just
Do
suspending
we
the
need
rules.
to get to it? Now we're there.
Do we need to suspend the rules first and then read it
No, go right
into the record?
Okay.
Is that,
Oh, you're doing it correct.
yeah, is that correct?
Mr.
Okay.
Bowman? Just making sure you're on your toes.
Okay, and so we have passed, that motion passes unanimously to suspend the rules, and Art, could you read that for us into the record, please?
Ratifying the acceptance of a monetary donation to the Shreveport Police Department for the purpose of purchasing civil disturbance equipment and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by the vice chair, second by Councilman Jenkins, and All votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, before they leave, let me,
You guys may want to stay up here. I think your councilman probably wants to share a
me just
comment or two
express-
as well.
Yeah.
And I'll sneak in there and just say how appreciative we are, for the efforts of the North Shreveport Business Association. It's a group that may be focused in particularly in one area, but you've done things that benefit our entire city and our entire community, and we really appreciate that.
thank you, Mr. Chairman, for those words. I was going to say the same thing. But seriously, I'm delighted and happy to represent the North Shreveport Business Association. Long before I became councilman, your work and your commitment to the city of Shreveport was known and appreciated. And in the last several months, as I have worked with you and saw your continuous commitment to the police officers and the fire department and the city as a whole, is greatly appreciated. And I would like to just express with commendations your great work and appreciate your donation. And let's continue the great work in North Shreveport and District A. We have great things ready for it to happen with your help. I'll be calling on you. Thank you again for your donation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Jenkins, did you have something as well?
No, I was going to suggest we suspend the rules and bring
Got it. It just wasn't
while
clear.
they were sitting here. I know Ronnie spends a lot of time in this room already, and he doesn't want to spend any more time.
He probably likes it more from that side than this side, though.
Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you. All righty.
All right.
Okay, next announcement. Thank you, sir. I had the pleasure this week to welcome more than 500 visitors from 12 states and Canada to our great city. They were here as delegates for the 50th anniversary and conference of Travel South USA held at the Convention Center. We were glad to have them here to experience the wonderful amenities we have to offer. We're also pleased to announce that today we have 5 new Sportran buses rolling on our streets. They're very colorful, 40-foot long buses that run on compressed natural gas. Look for them as you go about your travels. You cannot miss them. Also, please mark your calendars for 2 upcoming events if you can attend. At 6 p.m. on April 2nd, our very own Shreveport Fire Department will host its annual banquet at Riverview Hall. Also, Flying Colors Artport 2015 will be presented by Shreveport Regional Airport and Camback Smith Meadows. It will be held at the airport from 6 to 9 p.m. on the same night, April the 2nd. Do I need to read that one again? Let me read that one again.
It's a tongue twister a little bit. The
Flying
Artport
Colors.
at the airport.
Okay, Flying Colors Artport 2015 will be presented by Shreveport Regional Airport in Camback Smith Meadows. It will be held at the airport from 6 to 9 p.m. on April the 2nd. The Artport can get mixed up there. Another announcement, I'm excited to inform you that Shreveport Common has been selected to receive the Cultural District Award for 2015 Louisiana Cultural Awards. Our own Shelley Regal will join Shreveport Common to receive the award later this month in Baton Rouge. Member of the Shreveport Common will also serve on a panel on Ann Markison, the expert in data collection on creative placemaking. Also, the Shreveport Common and Choice Neighborhoods Project has been selected as a semi-finalist for the National Development Council Academy 2015 Project Awards in the Community Development category. As a semi-finalist, our project will be digitally exhibited at the National Development Council Academy 2015 at the Capitol Hill reception and via the Academy 2015 website. That was a lot, but we have been recognized nationally as well as statewide. Another announcement, I want to say thank you to council members and to our publics and organizations who were able to attend our litter abatement and beautification campaign at Independence Stadium. We're off to a great start in gathering support to clean up our city. Don't be trashy, keep it classy. Shreveport is home. Now, due to recent weather, we've encountered issues with our streets. as well as some deterioration that caused a few residents of Normandy Village to evacuate their homes. Very quickly, I'd like to have Stan Harris and Robert Westerman to come up and give us a brief update on the street repairs and the status at Normandy Village and the shoring up of Ockley Ditch.
You.
Come on up, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Stan Harris, Public Works. I just want to touch on 3 areas. One, first, our pothole repair. Our crews are continuing to work late into the evenings to make pothole repairs throughout the city. We've asked citizens to call us and contact us and let us know where they are, as well as our staff is looking for them. And so we'll continue to do that and make that happen. The second piece I wanted to talk to you about was the second phase of the arterial overlay program, the minor arterial program. There are about 9 streets on this total list of projects. 3 of these 9 streets have already been started on. Williams Way is pretty much complete, just about. Got a few more things that need to be done there. They're also working on Buncombe Road very heavily right now on that, and they're also working on Mansfield Road. So the contract has a total working days about 90 days, but we think that would probably completed probably about half that time.
Wonderful.
And then finally, a quick update on the MLK situation. We were recently contacted as of actually yesterday by the Sportran, expressing concerns about some of the condition of the streets in the MLK area, which the buses were utilizing. We went up yesterday, took a second look at those streets, and made a determination that we need to make some improvements to those streets. Those streets were Freddie Street, 5th Street, as well as a couple intersections at Audrey and East-West Streets. Our initial estimate of the cost of the total project was going to be about $600,000. That was a very quick estimate. We've had the contractor take a look at it since then, and we think the total cost of all the project would probably be around $321,000. These dollars are all coming from the Public Works operating budget, our asphalt overlay program, and at the $321,000 mark, we wouldn't necessarily have to touch anything in the 2015 year budget. The $320,000 actually came from unspent funds out of the 2014 asphalt overlay program. So we'll be utilizing those funds to complete this work. We think the total work will probably take a maximum of about 30 days to complete all the locations. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
And then is Robert's going to talk to us about Normandy?
Yeah, let me just say this, and thank you, Mayor, thank you for this great opportunity to start on streets in the MLK area. I mean, it's documented and that the streets of the MLK area are the worst streets in Shreveport, and I think we are on our way to improving that. But my question would be an obvious question. Can we use that other $300,000 for some more streets?
Well, we'll make recommendations to you in the next few weeks.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Mayor Tyler, Mr. Crawford, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. In the early morning hours of Thursday, March the 12th, the city received over 4 inches of rainfall in a very short period of time. This intense storm created challenges to our drainage systems and often exceeded the capacity of our drainage system in several areas of town, as well as the regional communities around Shreveport. They all had the same problem that we did. Well, these capacity problems often create other problems. The problems in this particular case that happened to us was on the Ockley Ditch system near the Normandy Village townhomes. The excessive water flow washed away a part of the ditch panels and subsequent ditch adjacent to these townhomes. When that happened, the dirt embankment that the townhomes were sitting on also was washed away as a result of the erosion occurring behind the ditch panels. The end result is that the excavation or the embankment washed away up to the foundation of the first building structure closest to our ditch system. It was at that time when we met out there in the field and it was decided that we needed to do some emergency contracts to make immediate repairs to this ditch system. These emergency contracts included PAL foundations to protect the building structure, to stabilize the building structure. Other improvements included doing temporary repairs to the dirt embankment to prevent any further erosion because we were anticipating additional rainfalls. The last 2 items that we were to accomplish was to clean out the ditch from the existing trash and debris and then begin repairs to the ditch system itself, once we completed all these things. The foundation work was complete on Tuesday, which allowed the residents to move back into their building, so that work was accomplished within a 3 to 4 day period. The trash has been cleaned up in the ditch. We have stabilized the bank, and we're in the process, as of Monday, beginning to make all our ditch repairs. It is anticipated the total cost to perform this work, all of it, is $123,700. What we also have included in here is the Ockley ditch system itself. As y'all are aware, we are in the process of negotiating the last servitude easements with Sears, and we hope to complete this very soon. Once this is completed, we can begin construction of the Ockley ditch system from the St. Vincent lateral up to Southern Avenue. The estimated cost of construction is $2 million. We have available in our budget $2.8 million to perform the necessary servitudes and construction of this ditch system. Lastly, the mayor has asked me to give you some information regarding Erie Drive drainage itself because of the street flooding that occurred on Erie Drive during the same storm period. Broadmoor has been constructed since the early 20s all the way up into the 50s, the Broadmoor area. Unfortunately, all the streets in Broadmoor were built to drain from East Kings Highway all the way to Erie Drive, with all of the water draining on the surface of the street. This creates a problem when you get to Erie Drive. The water piles up and there's no place for it to go. So, we have looked at several different aspects of this. One, we have built some outfall systems that will supplement Erie Drive when the state gets the funding necessary to complete the remaining construction improvements from Southfield north to Kings Highway. The city has already constructed additional outfalls to supplement this work when the state is complete with their work. Once that work is complete, then the city can look at future projects in order to increase the amount of surface collection points that we can put up into the Broadmoor area to help resolve these street flooding issues.
But now you say that, so that those projects couldn't commence until the state has made improvements from Southfield to Kings?
The city has already constructed 3 outfall points, one along Ardmore going down along Kirby's Golf Course. We've constructed an outfall point going down Atlantic Avenue, and then we also recently completed an outfall point from Southfield down to C6 Canal that was done in conjunction with the paving improvements that were done on that portion of Erie Drive.
Oh, yeah.
So when the state finds the additional funding necessary to reconstruct Erie Drive from Southfield to Kings Highway, we are prepared to put forth another program that would allow us to establish surface collection points up into the Broadmoor area once the state has completed the new drainage systems along Erie Drive as well as the new paving work.
Okay. But do we have an idea of the time frame? I mean...
But now that's different than just the intersection part.
No, I understand that, yeah. But I mean, I suppose the reason I'm asking
which
is...
has its own time frame.
yeah, I suppose the reason I'm asking is just
the
the intersection part seems to have taken the majority of my life to get done. So I just want to know, what is the time frame of...
I have some cautious optimism based on my most recent conversations with Robert on the intersection. Now,
Okay.
You know, I'll believe it when I see it, but that's a different...
Feel the same way. So, no, I appreciate it. And I have a speaker request from Councilman Bradford.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Robert, my question is a prevention versus cure question. In regards to the Olive Street drainage outlet ditch and the corrosion and the collapse of that.
The Ockley ditch, sir?
Ockley?
Ockley.
Yes, sir.
What is it, Olive? Ockley.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. My question is, was there any way to ascertain if inspections would have been done that we could have known that area was going to do that?
We were aware that there was a little problem there, and we had contracted with a contractor to do a small minor repair that we were waiting for the weather to clear, actually, for him to get out there and do some minor repairs. Unfortunately, with the type of rainfall that we had on that day, on Thursday morning,
yes,
minor repairs can become major repairs very quickly because all it takes is the smallest hole for it to start.
Yes.
And then it becomes a very major problem.
Right. And yesterday I made a statement, and I'm going to repeat the statement, is that the last several weeks have exposed us to negligence that has occurred over the years, and us not being prudent in addressing some of our issues regarding drainages and those kind of things. Potholes included. I saw, I don't know if you saw it, Mayor, on the news, a lawyer made a statement that if the city is aware of a pothole and somebody runs into the pothole and damages their car or something, then the city may be liable. And I'm just saying, I just hope we can be a little bit more conscious in looking at potential problems and then addressing those. And I guess my last question is regarding this Oakley Street issue.
Yes, sir.
Was there any damages that would create liability to the city?
That's a question I'd have to ask. I'd have to defer to Mr. Bradford.
Thank you.
Councilman, I appreciate your question. At this time, these matters have been turned over to risk management. It's an investigative process right now. I don't think that the city's in a position to discuss any kind of liability or negligence at this time.
Well, I mean, I guess my question would be, have anybody made a claim that there was damages?
At this time, Councilman, again, I think it's most prudent that we don't discuss any matters that are pending before the Risk Management Committee or the Risk Management Office as it relates to claims or damages alleged against the city.
And so,
I'm not understanding, but I accept your explanation. Okay, I accept your explanation. Thank you.
all right. Well, thank you very much. And I
Thank
have
you so
to,
much.
and I want to extend a thanks and appreciation to the administrative staff and to the staff that was on the ground. You know, I've represented the area that has Normandy Village for quite some time, and we've been working through problems of trying to get that project moving forward. I know we're coming through, we're making headway at getting through some of those
Yes.
roadblocks now, and that's
Yes.
very encouraging. But you know, for several years now, every time there's even been a slight rain, I know that the people in that neighborhood begin to worry, and I hear from them, and I talk to them, and I, you know, have communications with them over the years, and I have to say how encouraged many of them were with the quick and swift response of the city. They could tell the city was out there working hard and that they cared, and I just want to express the appreciation you know, for the response and the way that it was handled. It certainly was a difficult situation. We all would have preferred to have not had to deal with it at all, but, but when it is there, you know, I think people appreciate having, being able to tell that people are working hard and care about them. So we thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Was
And
there,
now we have one last report.
Okay.
We're going to do the update and progress report from property standards. And then at the end of the meeting, we'll bring up one more announcement from the police department. So, Ms. Furnell, can you please come up and do the update for us?
Good afternoon, City Council members, Chairman Efferson, Mayor Tyler. Thank you for the opportunity. Property standards officers play a vital role in communities, and perhaps the most viable role of property standards officers is in the battle of the blight. Within the city limits of Shreveport, there's a lot of deteriorating conditions, residential and non-residential areas, and they're all detrimental to the health and safety and welfare of the general public. They also create a haven for criminal activity. They reduce tax revenues. They decrease social values and depreciate the economic value of property. How effectively property standards officers perform their job can have a major impact on the property values and image of our community. They support and enhance quality of life while working to keep aging buildings, homes, and properties from becoming eyesores. Every community faces struggles in vacant buildings. The standards we enforce are to prevent and eliminate unsafe, unsanitary, and deteriorating conditions. Prior to 2007, we felt like we were going around in circles. But May of 2007, the City Council voted to increase police department and the property standards budget sufficiently to provide additional police officers and property standards inspectors. to cover each of the police 12 districts. $1.3 million of that increase was devoted to address adjudicated properties throughout the city, which had previously been largely unaddressed. On June 16, 2007, all inspectors and all community liaison officers were introduced in a meeting whereby Operation T-Bone was created, taking back our neighborhood. The resulting collaboration between officers and inspectors over the last 7 years has proven to be nothing short of miraculous. The accomplishments came when you look at statistics year after year. In my mind, we have accomplished a lot. The first year, they jumped tremendously, and since there's been a decline on a regular basis. The first year, we had numbers to increase from on adjudicated properties, 1,514 to 11,869. Demolitions went up 31%, 218 to 285. Care premise from 56 to 458. These are the problems property standards see daily. Not only do we see the in-ops, open storage, care premise, and high grass, but we also see water leaking from abandoned houses, raw sewage or water leaks from occupied structures with no meters. We identify elderly citizens living in dilapidated houses that need assistance that we report to community development. We see citizens operating illegal businesses, car repairs, standing water in receptacles that is a haven for mosquitoes. Stray animals, animals that are malnourished. We identify debris on the street, evictions where landlords have placed an entire house of furniture on the street or an entire house on the street. Alleys and drainage ditches overgrown. Property standards are your boots on the streets. They are your group of trained, certified, professional men and women. T-Bone has accomplished and expanded into an initiative where the city and other governmental agencies work together, public works and animal control. In 2014, the initiative expanded to include water and sewage, community development, zoning, and Shreveport Green are now part of the effort. From September 2014 through February 2015, we swept the following districts. Districts 10, 5, 11, 7, 9, 10, District 11, 6, District 4 on the east and west side, and District 1. Of those months, property standards cited 972 violations. CLO officers cited 366, zoning 12, water and sewage 66, and community development issued 25 paint your heart out applications. Property standards stats for 2014 of violations that were abated. We demolished 99 houses. We abated 707 care premise violations. We secured 49 structures. We cut 10,423 grass lots. We issued 47 citations. 124 citations are in court now. We tagged 1,466 vehicles. We towed 67. This year, we opened up our weed abatement program. There were 66 applicants, and 28 met all qualifications. 11 of those are fair share contractors. Our grass contractors must meet all requirements listed in our specifications. Additionally, for 2014, there were 144 cases appealed to the Property Standards Board. 18 of those were appealed to City Council. Looking at the agenda, it appears to be a lot, but it isn't. Most of what is on the council agenda is recurring cases that are on a month-to-month basis. Only 3 of those was appealed to First Judicial District Court. None of these cases have been successful in district court as the result of action by the City Council. So the process works. It doesn't work within a time frame that the resident next door to the problem would like. It does not work within the time frame that I would like, but it works within a legal time frame that keeps the city from being sued. If we are at fault without proper notification, we don't argue about it. We would like to settle with the property owners and do away with any added amenities. The way the system works, there's always a possibility that somebody can sneak in and purchase a structure after we have done our final research or given it to a contractor. There are a lot of checks and balances and fail-safe measures taken, but there will never be enough measures where we are 100% accurate. As far as workers' compensation, our rate of doing it wrong is very, very, very low. And I think it's something to be proud of. The staff of Property Standards are the ones I want to give my accolades to because they work very diligently. Our work does bear proof that sometimes the hardest part of the job is the economy and trying to build trust in the people we serve. It's frustrating and heartbreaking. We don't like to be hard-nosed any more than we have to, but conditions within residential section of the city, which may be a health and safety hazard, dictates that sometimes we must be. Therefore, we will continue our efforts as we have. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have to say something.
Councilman Bradford.
Thank you for your work. I really appreciate the report. Like I said before, I had opportunity to go out twice this year with the T-bone operation, which I think is very effective, and I'm happy that the City Council, previous City Council, made it available, the money and resources available to do that. But I have to say this, and I'm just saying what I'm saying, in that Shreveport is actually several communities. I don't think I could be contradicted if I said that the majority of the dilapidation, abandonments, the citations comes from District A, I would say District F, and parts of District G. And the reason I'm saying that is because those are old African-American neighborhoods where there has been a lot of transition. Even in the MLK area, for instance, which is cited a lot, they were just annexed into the city 37 years ago. For all practical purposes, the MLK Cooper Road was a rural town. And when it was annexed into the city, it was not given the proper resources to upgrade itself. The streets worse in the city. Some of the homes that people live in are some of the worst. And we're holding that community to the standard that we're holding South Highlands and Broadmoor. Somehow, I don't see that as being fair, but it is what it is. And I appreciate your sensitivity to that community, to District A, Allendale, Lakeside, and the Cooper Road. Because, again, they have not been able to pull themselves up to the standard that some of our recent neighborhoods are in. I support property standards wholeheartedly. I think we got to have standards in which we conduct ourselves. But at the same time, I'm going to work as hard as I can to get resources so that the quality of life in the Cooper Road and the quality of life in Allendale and the quality of life in Lakeside could be as comfortable as the quality of life in Broadmoor, in Southern Trace, and all these other areas. I think those residents deserve as better life standing as they can as anybody else. And I just this morning, the mayor called me and made me aware of some work, and I went out, and the first thing I heard was, y'all don't do nothing down there on the city council. And I always have to warn people and caution, don't compare us to the previous city councils. Don't compare this mayor to the previous mayors. Everybody got to have a chance to create their niche, their standard, their character within this city. And as we move forward, Ms. Fennell, I applaud your work, but at the same time, just remember that Shreveport is not one-size-fits-all city. It's a city that's made up of great diversity and great differences in the resources that comes to our communities. But I thank you, and I just want to say that in preempting that there's houses all over that could be cited, but you are very cautious in how you cite those houses, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See no other requests to speak.
Thank you so much.
And I'll just say I appreciate, in working with you over the years and the time that your staff takes after T-Bones to sort of talk and share about suggestions and ideas about how they can do their job better. It can seem like an overwhelming job, and those of us, certainly when we're coming off of a campaign cycle, many of us have spent a long time walking every street in our district, and so we see a little glimpse of what your staff sees on a day-to-day basis, and I know it can get overwhelming for them. They do a great job, and certainly look forward to working with them further in the future and figuring out ways that we can advocate for changes at the state level, make what changes we may need to at our local level, and do what it is that we need to do to help those people do the best job they can do. So appreciate your cooperation on that respect as well.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for this report. Did you have any more communications from?
Not until the end.
All right, wonderful. We'll look forward to that. Okay, so let's see. At this point, we are at reports. I think we just had an opportunity to hear from property standards. So if anybody does have an issue with something, please let me know. But if not, do we have a revenue collection?
We do, Mr. Chair. Revenue collections for February were sent out to the council. These are revenue collections for property taxes and other additional fees, not including sales tax. They stand at $61,331,627 year to date at the end of February. We still have about $11,418,000 to collect to meet our 2015 budget totals, but they are on track for collection periods of time, as the bulk of those are collected at the beginning of the year, and some of those other additional fees and services are collected throughout the year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that update, and we appreciate it. I think everybody should have received that electronically. If you did have any problem receiving it, just let us know and we'll make sure that you get another copy. At this point, I believe Mr. Sweeney, do we have a master plan committee report, or did he step out? I don't see him in his usual seat.
He was here a minute ago, so he must
Yeah, he must have had a question. Let's see if it's okay. We'll go on. Oh, there he is. Perfect timing, huh? As soon as you step out, we call your name.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no problem.
This is a master plan report, and I just wanted to inform everyone that the master plan committee will be having a meeting on April the 10th. And for those of you who don't know who comprises that committee, we have two council members. Councilman Everson and Councilman Bowman are on that committee, along with David Cox, Commissioner Cox from the parish, and Commissioner Matthew Lynn, as well as three members of the MPC board, Dale Coven, Leah Desmarteau, and as well as Windsor Andrews is also on that board. That committee will convene to discuss the strategy that we're going to take toward doing the outreach for the Unified Development Code. Right now, we are tentatively scheduled to do our outreach the week of May the 18th. That'll be for basically, we won't do anything on Friday, but from Monday through Thursday, there will be a series of public open houses, at least 4 to 5 of those. and there will be a series of targeted presentations, you've heard me say this to you before, to key organizations and associations within the city and the parish. The purpose of the Master Plan Committee coming together for their meeting on the 10th is to help us drill down and identify the groups that we need to reach out to. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. I want to make certain that these events occur out into the various parts of the city and the parish, not here. We're going to do a tremendous effort to publicize and let the public know that these meetings are going to occur. And I want to walk through all of the steps and the strategies that we're planning so that we can get the kind of input from the committee to understand what we need to do or maybe what we're overlooking. It's very important to understand that even though this will be the big push for the public input of the UDC, and if you remember, we had a series of meetings back on the 12th and 13th of March where we invited the commission, the MPC board and the ZBA board to come together and review the UDC. And we also invited members of the Master Plan Committee as well as members of the CAO staff to attend that meeting, as well as from the parish. The intent of that was to complete the internal review of the process. I have one more step in the internal review, and that is with the mayor and the CAO. Unfortunately, as you heard earlier, on the 12th of March, we have the deluge, and he was unable to attend either day. So I'm going to set aside a time with him and the mayor was out because of family issues related to a funeral. And so I've scheduled a meeting for the April the 2nd to meet with them to go over the UDC so they'll feel comfortable with what it is we're going forward with. That will complete the internal review process, and that's why reaching out to the public will be so important in May. I also want to stress to you that that's not the end of the public outreach. What will happen is that's going to be the big push. But in June or July, we will probably follow up with additional efforts to make certain we have crossed the T's and dotted all the I's. Because you and I, we all know that even though we'll invite people all day long and go out there and give them opportunities, there's always someone who will say, well, I never got invited, or I didn't know that was going on. So we want to completely make certain that everyone has had that chance before we ever come back to you with this for your consideration and approval, hopefully in the fall of 2015.
Great, thank you so much. And for those members who may be new to the council, or even those who may just not have had the opportunity to work closely on the UDC, of course this is a very substantial document. This implements a large portion of our master plan, and it's very important to all of our communities. So this is one that, being a member who's serving on the Master Plan Committee, I'd like to invite each of you, if you have a group or an organization that in your district that you'd like to share with me to bring to that meeting, please let me know. And we'll share those direct groups for the direct meetings, as well as we'll be prompt in sharing the information when the public meetings are scheduled. And this is going to be something we're going to really want to advocate to our constituents to come out and participate in, so that they can understand what's happening. There's a lot of information in here, and we can't overstress it enough how much we'd like the public to participate in this process. Councilman Fleury.
Mr. Sweeney, you say that you're going to be concentrating on outreach down to the public. How can we be assured that you're going to listen? Are you going to be listening to the public, or are you going to be speaking to the public?
Well, it's going to be two parts. The open house will be a series of stations where people will walk in and look at different parts of the code. There'll be banners and informational booths. And then we're going to have opportunities for people to sit down and listen to a presentation that will last about 30 minutes. Then there'll be lots of questions and comments. We're going to also have a series of comment sheets available where people can write out their comments and put them in a box, and we will collect all of those. Also, too, and I should have mentioned this earlier, as of the end of April, I am going to upload the entire UDC draft onto the website. And I'm going to set a system where people can send in emails to make comments about the UDC, even if they don't attend one of the meetings. So we're trying to blanket everything. Some people will come, some will not. If you can't come, go online, look at the part that's really of importance to you, give us comments, and we will collect all of those comments.
Okay, when I came on the council, you gave me a notebook with the master plan, but it did not have anything in there to do with the UDC.
Yeah, the UDC is going to be a document that's the master plan you can look at as an overview, a set of recommendations to the, not just to the city, but the master plan has recommendations to the private sector or nonprofit sector, you know, really just the community at large. But in large part, a lot of those goals are directed towards the city as well. And so one of the, a number of the recommendations of that plan are implemented by the adoption of a Unified Development Code. So what we'll be getting soon, and what I have had a preview of, is this Unified Development Code. And this is the document that will implement a lot of that master plan. So, so again, that's why it's so important. I mean, I think the master plan represents a lot of feedback from the citizens, and granted, there's some things that have changed or that, you know, may not have ever gotten in there in the first place that are still important to express. And so this Unified Development Code gives an opportunity to implement a lot of that vision and show how we're going to get it done. So that's why, like I say, it's going to be very important for us to have a lot of public participation. We want the public to buy into this. This is a change. This is an upgrade in the way we do business. This is a you know, really bringing us into best practices with the way a lot of cities do things across the country. And it will mean a lot of things that are different than the way we're used to them. So we want a chance for everybody to review that. We want to hear what people like, what people don't like. So we really can, you know, make sure that by the time all of us are asked to vote on it, we feel confident about voting on that. It's a big law, so it deserves a lot of public scrutiny.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Lynn invited me over to the bike. Will that be incorporated in this?
Well, the bike and ped is it is reflective. You know, some of the goals that they're advocating for in that meeting. I went to a different session of that, and some of the goals that they're advocating for certainly are expressed in the Unified Development Code, and we actually had a chance to share some of how the Unified Development Code would treat those goals with them. They were very impressed and seemed very pleased with what was in there. So to answer the question, yes, but that is more than just this, you know. But yes, this does reflect that. So yeah, it's on the same path.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, and did you have anything? Oh. Okay, now we're at the public hearing. We don't have a public hearing scheduled for today. And so we are to the section where we would add items to the agenda. However, I think the only item we have today is one that I had recommended, but I am comfortable waiting to add it to the agenda for next meeting just regularly. So I don't need to add that today. Do I need to do anything, or just get by it? Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And so for public comments, I don't believe we have public comments for agenda topics. I think both of our public comments are for the later section of public comments. So we do not have any confirmations or appointments to be considered today. So we can move on to the consent agenda. I don't believe we have any items for introduction, but we do have some items for adoption.
Yesterday, 2 items were removed, Resolution 45 and Resolution 46, so we'll take those up separately. So 2 items remain on the consent agenda, and I'll read those now if it's all right, Mr. Chairman. Please. Resolution 43, suspending certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 relative to alcoholic beverages on April the 12th, 2015, relative to dispensing, sale, and/or consumption of alcoholic beverages at 4801 Lyon Avenue for the Wine Country Bistro Wine and Swine event. Resolution 44 ratifies the suspension of certain provisions of Chapter 10 and 106 on March the 17th, 2015, relative to dispensing, sale, and/or consumption of alcoholic beverages at 436 Ashley Ridge for the St. Patrick's Day party, and otherwise provided with respect thereto.
All right, I've got a motion by Councilman Corbin and second by the chair to adopt the consent agenda. Looks like all votes are in, and that passes unanimously.
Chairman, if it's all right, we'll now go to regular agenda legislation, and we'll start with the two items that were removed, if that's okay. Resolution 45 authorizes property located at 10679 Goldsberry Road to connect to the water and sewer system of the city.
So moved. All right. We've got a motion by Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilman Jenkins for resolution number 45. And it looks like Councilman Fleury didn't pick up your vote. Okay, we have got a 6-1 vote. That motion passes.
Resolution 46 authorizes property located at 9596 Wallace Lake Road to connect to the water and sewer system of the city of Shreveport.
And resolution number 46, motion by the chair.
Is it in, it's in Councilman Fleury's district?
Second by Councilman Fleury.
I just want to make sure he was good with it before I...
board.
before
Sorry, I was just throwing something out there. I didn't hear anybody.
I mean, there may be more to it, so that was all the reason I was asking.
If so, let us know so we can vote against. But it looks like that motion does pass with a 6-1 vote.
Mr. Chairman, we're now under Resolution 35. It also authorizes the institution of expropriation proceedings against certain described property within the city of Shreveport in connection with the Wallace Force Main project.
And I believe the administration said that we could remove this, and so Councilman Corbin has made a motion to remove.
Second.
Second by Councilman Jenkins. It looks like that passes unanimously.
Resolution 39 authorizes the employment of legal counsel to represent the Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Second. All right, and we've got a motion by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Bowman. And that motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 40 authorizes the mayor to execute a Medicaid supplemental payment cooperative endeavor agreement with the Louisiana Ambulance Alliance.
Move to table.
That's correct.
Second. Okay, motion by the chair, seconded by Councilman Corbin to table, and this is at the request of the administration as well. Correct. And that motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 41 has been adopted. Resolution 42 authorizes the city to enter into a contract with ALSCO relative to providing water and sewer.
Yes, I want to make a motion to postpone that until our next council meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion to postpone from Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Jenkins. And all votes are in, and that motion passes unanimously.
Chairman, we're now to introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to April the 14th. Resolution 47 authorizes the mayor to execute a donation agreement between the city and Nicely Properties, Inc., hereinafter referred to as owner and acting herein through Jeremy Nicely, manager for the private water and sewer main extensions and related facilities to serve Norris Ferry Crossing Unit 8. Resolution 48 authorizes the mayor to execute a donation agreement between the city and Southern Home Builders for the private water and sewer main extensions and related facilities to serve Riverbrook subdivision, units 3, 4, and 5. Resolution 49 states the city of Shreveport's endorsement of Twin Oak Investments, LLC, to participate in the benefits of the Louisiana Restoration Tax Abatement Program. Those are all, Mr. Chairman.
So moved.
And I'll second that. So that is a motion from Councilman Jenkins, seconded by the chair, for introduction of these motions, or these resolutions. And that is approved unanimously.
We're now in the introduction of ordinances not to be adopted prior to April the 14th. Ordinance 21 amends the 2015 general fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized therein and otherwise providing with respect thereto. Ordinance 22 is a zoning matter, C-20-15. It amends Chapter 106 by rezoning property located on the southwest corner of St. Matthias Drive and South Lakeshore Drive, extending some 880 feet south It changes the zoning from R1TH Suburban One Family Townhouse Residence District to R1TH PUD Suburban One Family Townhouse Residence Plan Unit Development District. Ordinance 23 is a zoning matter C-22-15. It rezones property located on the northwest corner of American Way by changing the zoning from I-2 Heavy Industry District to I-2 PUD Heavy Industry District Plan Unit Development.
So move for introduction. All right, motion by Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilman Jenkins for introduction of these ordinances. Vote. It looks like all votes. And that passes unanimously.
We're now to ordinances on second reading and final passage. Ordinance number 20 amends the 2015 Airport Enterprise Fund budget and otherwise provides with respect thereto. Appropriates funds from the operating reserves for certain airport projects.
And there's a motion by Councilman Jenkins, seconded by Councilwoman Lynch. And that passes unanimously.
Chairman, those are all of the matters on the regular agenda. I'm not aware of any matter to be taken from the table agenda.
Okay, and then I don't have any appeals. So are we down to reports from officers, boards, and committees? Are there any reports?
I will just say again that I have hosted this infrastructure committee meeting on the 14th of April, starting at 1:30. Assuming we're good to go on that, but if there's some items that people would like added, you'll let me know shoot me an email. I've got an hour and a half carved out from 1:30 to the meeting, so if there's some things we need to do, and particularly if we're due to review the infrastructure report, and this is the appropriate time to do that, I will take input and email correspondence between now and then if that's what we also need to add on there. So,
Mr. Chairman, that would be good timing.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins, you had also mentioned an update on the 2011 bond initiatives for that meeting, and the administration is preparing that.
perfect. Thank you. But that was in addition, because I think maybe by ordinance, we're supposed to formally review the infrastructure report twice a year, if I'm not mistaken. So that's timely, at least, if we want to include that, depending on Barbara and everybody else's schedule for that. So,
We're ready.
thank you.
Great, that should work out well. And now I have Councilman Corbin, followed by Councilman Fleury.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be announcing an Audit and Finance Committee meeting. Between now and our next council meeting, we have a long break this time, and administration's checking their calendar right now. This is a meeting at their request to discuss the CenterPoint contract agreement. We'll probably try to have that meeting in the morning, if possible, instead of in the afternoon. But I'll get details out just as soon as we get some dates nailed down.
Great. And Councilman Fleury?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to announce we'll be having a Public Safety Committee meeting with the former chairman, Councilman Jenkins, and on April the 13th at 1:30 p.m.
Wonderful. And then in this, looks like we may have had a fairly quick meeting today, but it looks like we'll have a lot of people working hard to get some new legislation in the coming weeks with all these committee meetings. But I will be scheduling a Riverfront B4 committee meeting as well between now and the next meeting. So that looks like we'll have several committee meetings scheduled soon, and so if there's anybody else that needs to schedule something, just let us know and we'll work on coordinating those so that everybody can attend. I see no other reports right now, so I guess we are on to Mr. Thompson's clerk's report.
We have no report, Mr. Chairman.
That is the best kind of report to have from the clerk. And let's see what we got next.
So moved.
A motion for the Committee of the Whole from Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilwoman Lynch. And it looks like Councilman Jenkins is out of the chamber now. So we've got six passes unanimously.
So moved on approval of the March 10th minutes.
And that is a motion from Councilman Corbin, second by the chair, to approve the minutes of the preceding meeting.
Mr. Bradford?
And that passes unanimously. And so at this point, Madam Mayor, do you have any communications? I believe you mentioned you...
We have one last, I think, presentation. It's not a presentation, but an announcement. We're going to ask Chief Holton if you would come on up and make this announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Tyler, Mr. Chair, members of the council. We're going to start our cruising operation this Sunday. Sun's out, rain stops, getting warmer. I know
Just
we'll
sent
start
an email
getting
about this morning.
some
This is
complaints. I
timely.
know I saw an email from you earlier, but we learned several years ago, we used to do it during spring break, and we learned that if we wait till spring break, the momentum builds, and then we have a mess on our hands trying to fix everything. So what we've done for the last few years, and it's been fairly successful, is we start before spring break. So we will start this Sunday. The command bus will be at Greenwood and Jewella, where it normally is. We welcome all of you to come by and visit, visit with the officers. We'll be checking all the parks and the areas where we normally have problems with congesting the streets where traffic can't get through. So if you have any problems, feel free to call us or come by the command bus. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
What time the bus will be there?
It'll be there at 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. We'll have actually we've got CRU that comes out a little before that, just so that it doesn't build real bad beforehand. But at 4 o'clock, the bus will be out there, and all the officers will be having roll call.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And so the message that I sent earlier, I imagine you'll probably already respond to it or not, but if so, just want to make sure that particular point is addressed. I know
Yes, sir, that's
one
number one on our list.
We have annual problems there, so I want to get out ahead of it. So.
And we've also, in response to that, the CLO has been out already and visited with them today.
Good.
And it kind of reassured her that we're out there and we're going to take care of that.
Good. It's just a shame when you have, residents that live near a park and they love their neighborhood and they want to enjoy it, and then they have these people from other places come in and treating their neighborhood like it's a driveway and a drag strip, and they don't deserve that. So we appreciate the efforts and appreciate getting out ahead of it. We've had a long, hard winter, so I'm sure that a lot of this cruising activity is going to pick up a little early. As soon as there's a little sunshine out, it seems like people are ready to get out and strut their stuff, but we'd like them to do it in a location that does not hurt, intimidate, or damage others' property or enjoyment of life. So, so not in our neighborhoods. But thank you very much. And
What time do they start cruising? Because I may need to.
It usually will start around lunchtime.
Oh, that's
usually
so
we have some of the CLOs and CRU come out a little earlier.
That's serious.
It gets the most problematic later in the evening, and usually Sundays are our worst time.
I mean, about what time?
The biggest activity I get complaints about is
Depends
around
on
4
how the
o'clock.
weather is. If it's nice and warm and sunny, it'll start between 12 and 1 o'clock in some of the parks.
You're
But the
saying
bus will be out there at 4 o'clock.
At Ford Park, or where are you talking about?
They move around, and what we have found in the past, a lot of the problem people that we wind up arresting aren't from Shreveport. They're from surrounding areas that come here and create issues. We've had problems, Councilman Everson mentioned Hattie Perry has been an issue. Greenwood and Jewella in years past would stack up so bad people couldn't even get down the road.
Always Greenwood.
Airport Park has been one. We get a lot of calls from Kennedy Street where people say they can't get out of their driveways because of all the cars parked out there. So those are the two that right off the bat we try and make sure that people can get in and out and nobody's obstructed from going about their daily activities.
Okay, so is it an operation that goes till the wee hours of the morning, or is it?
Yes, ma'am. It'll go to midnight at least. And if there's a problem, we stay as long as the problem exists.
Okay, because I think maybe in the last couple of years, Monkhouse Drive,
Yes, ma'am.
pretty active.
That is on our list.
Okay, and, okay, I just want to make sure.
Yes, ma'am. Monkhouse.
Following these people from Cocoa, and they're coming to Monkhouse. I mean, do you have an operation going on downtown? Because some of this traffic is coming from downtown.
A lot of it.
to the neighborhood, hold up, coming from downtown and migrating to the neighborhoods.
Yes, ma'am, and
Do I
that's,
have this command set up downtown as well?
no, ma'am, we'll have it set up, they'll operate from Greenwood and Jewella, but these officers that do it year after year, and you're exactly right, we get a lot of problems from downtown. Normally, we'll have the downtown unit that'll be staffed down there. If they start seeing a problem, or there's just a large influx of people, they'll call these officers they're constantly moving. Monkhouse Drive, they'll go to Hattie Perry, may go to Billberry, may check Southern Hills Park, just to see where the problem is, because every time we go to one park, they'll move to another park. So we just kind of follow them around. It's like a big circle till they leave and go back to other places where they come from.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Right.
Councilman
Breppen.
I guess I'm out of the loop. I was familiar with they call it cruising around
Yes, sir.
years ago.
Crenshaw.
But I've always had a problem understanding. Well, let me back up. I'm gonna ask this question first. How do you categorize this mission? Do you categorize it as prevention, or you categorize it as, how do you categorize this?
It's solely prevention. That's the idea. If you get a lot of people in one place where neighbors can't get out, we don't want citizens being inconvenienced or it turn into a fight or into some type of violence. We've had issues in the park when they get so overcrowded, people can't get in or out of the park. We have large fights there. So that's what it's to keep traffic moving.
Okay.
And the officers will go to the park when they start seeing a large crowd gather. They get out of the cars and just walk around, start talking to people. Usually just that presence of the uniform there, people calm down, they don't seem to get as aggressive.
And my statement was going to be, I just have always had a problem understanding why would young people put themselves in harm's way by this behavior. Now, in the past, and I know some of my council people have heard it, especially from African American youth on summers, that there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. So they do this. Now, I'm not saying that's right, and I don't know what we can do to assist in some wholesome, controlled environment where there's an alternative to this crazy behavior. And I'm saying crazy in the sense that, to do something, to get pulled over and get arrested is crazy. So it's got to be some motivation here that we're not understanding. Do you have any idea what's the motivation?
No, sir, I don't. And we have tried in the past, we didn't, but former councils have tried to set up events, you know, and one or two of those ended tragically. There was one, Super Safe Saturday, I think most of you remember that. That was an event actually to address the cruising issue, trying to give people a place to go, and actually ended with some people losing their life.
Yeah. Wow.
I wish I knew how to fix it, Councilman. I would, and I'd be retired, and I'd make all kind of money. I'd go around the country.
Well, I'm gonna, and it's always, the location, the congregating is always in West Shreveport.
West Shreveport has been the hot spot going back to the 1980s. That I've been here since the early 80s, and it was a problem then. I don't know why. I guess all the businesses, and there's so much parking lot area there at Greenwood and Jewella where people can gather. Maybe that's what it is. It's just there's a lot of open parking.
And Council Lady asked the time it starts, and usually it's around the afternoon time.
Yes, sir. We usually out.
You want to come with me?
I mean, right. No, I guess I'm asking that to ask this, that as it relates to, and the city provides parks. We got parks all over the city.
Yes, sir.
And then once the park's closed, that's when usually this activity gears up, is that?
It gets worse when the park's closed, because then people are looking for somewhere else to go. And sometimes they wind up downtown.
And I'm just asking, and it's something that I want us to look at. Do we have adequate parks, recreational activities for our residents throughout the city? I mean, I'm not asking you to respond. I'm just saying that's the question that I want to investigate. Do we have adequate places on Sundays, Saturdays for families and for citizens of our city? And I'm going to do that by comparing our size of population to other cities of our size and see what is it that they're doing, or are they having these same type of issues? Because, I mean, we want to be resident friendly, but at the same time, we have, you know, laws, ordinances that we have to adhere to.
Yes, sir.
But for anybody to continuously, knowing that there's a command station and there's, you know, 5 police patrolling, and to just get out there and do this, something, I'm missing something. But I'm here, I'm new, so, you know, I'm gonna think about something. Jerry, let's think about something, because we're talking about our districts.
Well, I would like to work with y'all as well.
Sure.
Go ahead, Jerry. Let me speak since I'm the youngest up here.
I got you beat by a few months, actually.
Most of the people that are out during their time, I'm not gonna say most, some of them out during their time, they're not looking to go to the park and hang out. They're looking for other things to do. And I commend the police department for what they do, because they're just keeping the traffic going. But then things happen because you have different people with different attitudes, and you get pulled over and you get cited for something, and it leads to other things. And so people think that they're being harassed by the police, and that's not really, because I've been out there to see myself. Years ago, I used to hang out there, so I know.
Oh, you used to do the traffic?
Yeah, my mom made me go home, but but we have to. I mean, like now we have some car shows that are being scheduled and different things, because that's what a lot of them come out and want to show their cars off. They want to, you know, just ride after church and show some, you know, ride with their girlfriends or something like that. So some of the bad have to suffer with, you know, I mean, the good have to suffer with the bad sometimes. But we're finding different things to do. We have a few events scheduled for the summer, and at the end of the spring also. So hopefully it won't be as bad, but that's just always from Fort Park, and they come to Greenwood Road, and Jewella is just the hub because of the parking and the places to eat. Right. So that's why they hang out there. And then when they see enough police there, they move on over to Hattie Perry.
And the shame with the Hattie Perry location, it's right in the middle of a neighborhood.
In the middle of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the traffic is bad. And they had an accident there, and the ambulance couldn't even get.
Exactly. And people end up double parking. You can't get through. An emergency vehicle can't get to a household. And you've got, you know, I mean, I think what sort of breaks my heart is I'll talk to a grandmother whose kids want to go play at Hattie Perry Park. She lives right across the street from Hattie Perry Park. That should be the best location for her to let her kids go play. But she has to put her kids in the car and drive across town to another park because she's scared of all the cars that are parked all up and down and all the people going up and down the street. And that's a shame, you know. So, but this operation has been successful, and you know, I think it's really encouraging to hear that they're starting it at an earlier point, because sometimes waiting till spring break, some of those habits have already, you know, some of those chosen spots, if you will, that people go are already selected by spring break time. So getting out a little earlier, you know, can help maintain some order in these neighborhoods and help it, you know, be a little bit.
And Mr. Chairman, I certainly am not opposing this operation at all. In lieu of what has happened since last summer in some other cities, I just feel that we should look at opportunities that we can provide in a controlled, wholesome environment, something that will deter this activity. Okay. I mean, and I'm just asking, I don't know who could, what's happening at Cargill on Sunday afternoons?
There are times when we have the same issue at Cargill. I mean, they just move around park to park. Wherever they think we're not going to be, that's where they'll show up.
And the surprising thing to me, until I got on council, I didn't realize, a tremendous number of these people, at least in my experience, are from East Texas, or they're from outside of, they're not from Shreveport. I mean, some are, but a lot of these people are not from our community. They're driving in to the closest city area. And
from Marshall. Yeah, Minden.
It's surprising.
Let's talk about this, because I'm saying we people come from outside of our community for other events. You know, can we make this out of some type of economic impact on the city? If these many people, I don't know how many you're talking about, if these many cars, these many people are congregating in Shreveport on a Saturday or Sunday is that an opportunity for us to provide something and at the same time create some type of economic impact of this crowd in population that's coming into our event. So
maybe there is.
Can we?
That's a great
and I'm saying,
maybe we can talk about it.
We need to talk then, because we have some things that we've been talking about trying to get here. So
because again, I mean, I think if we can control some of this stuff, you know, that will lessen in a controlled, planned environment versus just helter-skelter cruising or riding and getting pulled over and getting, because they're going to claim harassment, you know, they're going to claim all kind of stuff. So I'm just saying, introducing in my council people, we're going to talk about it and see what can we initiate that we feel like would be an alternative, or give options on some of this behavior that I don't consider to be very pleasant. Because again, if they interrupt the people's lives, then that's not pleasant, and you have to respond to that.
We'd love to see something productive. It would help us tremendously.
So we're gonna look at that.
And I would invite all of you again, please, if you want to come out, visit with the people to come out. If you want to ride with one of the officers as part of the program, you feel free. We can get that arranged and ride with one of them and see exactly what they're doing and how the problems they've run into.
Is the response from these guys is it hostile? Are they try to comply with your officers?
I hate to jinx myself or jinx us, but for the last couple of years, we've had a lot of success. We've not had a lot of issues. Prior to that, and mostly I think because we let the momentum build and it got out of hand, we had some shootings, and that's what we wind up responding to, is a park that's overcrowded, gunfire in the park. We show up, people running everywhere, screaming, hollering. It's hard for us to figure out what's even going on. So there have been some incidents of violence. We've not had a lot of trouble out of people that we're dealing with. And I think, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago, we ran a list of all the arrests that we made during the entire operation, and that's when we found that over half the people we were arresting, they're not from Shreveport.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's some kind of neighborhood thing going on, somebody coming in from outside, and that's what provokes. I don't know.
I mean, are you seeing any indications of organized activity, gangs, for instance?
We've got pockets of it in the city. We do. It's not what it was in the 90s. We have little pockets of it. We got a couple of them right now that we're dealing with some crimes of violence that they're organized.
But the cruising is pretty much just whoever will let them cruise.
I think 90% is just like Councilman Bowman said. 95% of the people involved in that, they're out to show their cars off. They're out to see their girlfriend. They're not bothering anybody. They're having a good time. And you get one element that gets involved that's got some other motive or some other type of attitude or personality, and by the time we get the call, there's a fight, there's 20, 30 people involved, gunfire. That's what we're trying to prevent.
You have statistics. Can you just give me an average on a Sunday afternoon? How many arrests would you make?
I'd have to go back and check, because the last 2 years it's been fairly low, but I'll get you that information.
Okay, I'm just asking. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
We appreciate it. Mayor Tyler, did you have?
I have one last something. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Thank you. We want to recognize and honor one of our very own who's retiring March 31st, and he has worked for the city of Shreveport for 40 years under 8 different mayors. He serves currently as a division manager for SPAR in the maintenance area. But he's here today with his family, and we certainly want to recognize Mr. Joe Brown. And we're going to ask him to come up along with Ms. Shelley Regal, who is his immediate supervisor and director. And she may want to have some other things to say, but we want to say to Mr. Brown, thank you for your, Ms. Brown, thank you for your service to this city, all that you've done to make us what we are today. Thank you, sir.
Well, Mayor,
you want to bring his family up with him? We'd love to see his family.
Mary, his wife, to come up, because
See, he's got some supportive coworkers in the crowd as well.
He has a lot of his coworkers.
She made me come to work.
I'm going to let Joe speak, but I just want to say that Joe has served this city with great dedication for years and years, and He's a success story, like many people who work here. Joe began as what we call the General Labor 1, whatever that meant at the time. And as the mayor said, has served under 8 mayors, and he's done so without, there's never any hesitation about, is it my job or was it my job? And that's why Joe was able to begin as a laborer and work his way to a division manager, and we've just been so proud to have him at SPAR. I tell people all the time, I know why SPAR is successful, and why I'm successful is because of people like Joe Brown. And we are going to miss him terribly, but we are also excited for him. I know that you can't believe he's been here 40 years, because when you look at him, he looks so young, but he's going to have an opportunity to enjoy life and reap the benefits of the great things that the city gives you. You know, the reason you work here is to get what Joe is going to reap from retirement. So it's bittersweet for all of us, but we are very excited for him, and I want Joe to have the opportunity to speak to y'all. Thanks. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you all. And as I told Ms. Tyler, the city has been good to me. I raised a family, had a good life, and I'm going to get a good retirement. And,
you have been good to us, and we are so thankful to have had your service. You really have done a wonderful job. And you know, Shelley not only has some of the best employees, but she has some darn nice employees. A lot of the people that work for her are really nice folks, so you included there. We appreciate all of your service. And I've got 3 requests to speak from Councilwoman Lynch.
Oh, you about to make, I'm gonna pull out my tissue. You said you're getting a lot of money. We gonna have any luck? No, thank you so much. 40 years, I'm not even that old.
I knew that.
Now, you know this is on the record, right?
I'm sorry, I don't look that.
There you go.
But thank
I'm
you so
joking.
much. I really appreciate it. I mean, obviously the city, as you said, has been good to you, because nobody would stay on a job, I would hope not, for 40 years that they didn't enjoy. And we appreciate your service to the citizens of Shreveport.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Councilman Bowman.
I know my mom has spoke highly of Mr. Brown before in the past, and I didn't know who Joe Brown was at that time. So for my mom to say something, to speak as highly as she did of you and Ms. Shelley, I just wanted to say, well, thank you for a good service to the city, and introduce us to your family out there. We got some support out there. We'd like to see who they are.
My wife married.
Some of his coworkers.
Okay.
They are like family over there.
That's right. I have 3 children. They're not here either. But,
well, Councilman, Councilman Brown.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Brown, I just want to express, like the others, my appreciation to you for your service. It speaks volumes. When you see somebody stay on a job, one job for 40 years, it speaks volumes. Ada Robertson, the great legendary coach of Grambling, used to say he was married to the same woman and had the same job for over 50 years. and he said that to exemplify stability and commitment. And I've found, since I've been here, several employees of the city who has been here over 20 years and 25 years. But 40 years is such an accomplishment, and you look so well, so I guess it wasn't a job that brought on stress. But I just wanted to express my sincere appreciation to you for your job and for the commitment and service you gave to this city. I just, I mean, we say that you can't be replaced, but we don't look to replace you. We just look to get somebody who is as committed to work in the same capacity and have the same commitment that you have.
And I certainly hope you do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Your last day is when?
March 31st.
Tuesday.
Oh, next week.
Unless we can change his mind.
Fantastic.
No, his honey-do list is ready.
Best wishes on your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
And to your lovely wife, Mary. My wife's Mary also, so I never met a Mary I didn't like.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
thank you so much. that was so nice. And after, I think it was a week or so ago, Tim Wachtel, who also retired from SPAR, also had such a nice retirement gathering. And I go to say again, they've got some nice people over in SPAR. That you can tell the work ethic was there, but so was their heart.
I had somebody, Mr. Chairman, somebody from Willis Knighton retired after 35 years, not too long ago, and some of his coworkers came to the retirement party to make sure he was leaving. So to have your coworkers to come and just appreciate you.
So it's nice to see it from the other
They say, "Well, make sure you leave it now." That's
okay. All right. Well, we are now under communications from council members. I have a request from Councilwoman Lynch and then Councilman Corbin.
I want to make sure that my constituents are aware on April the 6th, that's Monday, April the 6th, we will be having our first town hall meeting for District F. So you should be receiving some communications from me, and it'll be advertised. It'll be at 6 o'clock at Airport Park, District F Town Hall meeting. The other communication I wanted to extend, and this is just in my own personal capacity and capacity as a council person. You all may have read the article that was in the paper about Glenn Ford, who is a case out of Caddo, that was recently exonerated. And Marty Stroud did a magnificent article in support of that cause, of Mr. Ford's cause. He is currently has stage 4 cancer, undergoing chemo. At the time when this incident occurred, I believe his father lived in Caddo Parish, and so he was here living with him, but currently is under medical treatment in New Orleans. And before anybody else writes you all, I have gone on record to, in opposition of the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana's opposition to them denying him payment and compensation for being wrongfully incarcerated. This is a bill that was handled by a former mayor, and he was state rep at the time, Cedric Glover, to put this law into place that would compensate persons from the state of Louisiana that were wrongfully incarcerated. I believe Calvin Willis was the inspiration at that time back in 2003. I traveled to Baton Rouge as a part of people that were supporting that bill, so I'm really extremely disappointed that the state has taken this position based on the technicality. So I'm asking everyone that has heard the story, read about it, is concerned about it, that they contact the Attorney General's office, the criminal division of the Attorney General's office, and ask the state to withdraw their opposition to Mr. Ford receiving his compensation. And that number is 225-326-6200. So thank you.
Thank you. And I believe I have Councilman Corbin, followed by Councilman Fleury and Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually making this announcement for Councilman Jenkins, who had to leave the meeting. The Broadmoor Neighborhood Association is having a fish fry tonight. Not sure if it starts at 5:30 or 6, but it's a $5 catfish dinner, and it will be at Broadmoor Presbyterian Church, and that is tonight. And the only other thing I have is Robert and Chief Huddleston, if I could see you at the end of the meeting for a second.
All right, Councilman Fleury.
Mayor, Tyler, I just want you to know after you did all that trash talk, that I was so fortunate to be invited by Councilman Bowman to go out on Juella, and we had a great day and a successful day. Wonderful. And I did have to summons the city attorney because he was spending too much time with Councilman Bowman and not enough, but he helped me get over the finish line.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're beginning to see some progress.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two things. again, I was out in my district this morning, and people are very excited about what's taking place out there. And we're committed, like you all are, to clean up our communities and do whatever we can to make this city more beautified, as well as the quality of life that it presents. But I wanted to thank Shreveport Police, the property standards, all of those who was a part of the neighborhood networking symposium on last week. It was an excellent affair. I think if we did a head count, I had more people from my district there than any other district. But more importantly, I spoke with Miss. I spoke with two people this morning. I spoke with Miss Pouncey, Fiesta Pouncey, and Mr. Benny Doty, and you presented them the Martin Luther King's Neighborhood Association with an award that recognized them as the longest-serving neighborhood association in the city, 60 years. That association started out as the Cooper Road Civic Club, and they have taken on so many projects within the Cooper Road. For instance, it was the Cooper Road Civic Club that initiated, before they was annexed into the city, the first sewage apparatus. Okay. Then they moved it from there and created the first all-volunteer fire department in that area. They went on to do so many great things, and one of the greatest things was when gangs and violence and shooting was rampant in the MLK area in the late 80s, and Operation Thor was initiated, and they housed and helped promote that operation, which eradicated so much undesirable elements out of the community, all the gangs and the shootings, and those elements never returned. And even now, you know, they got a new facility, and they have feeding programs every day for their seniors. They have other arts and crafts for various entities of the city, residents, and they're doing so much. And to recognize them with such an honor of being recognized as the longest-serving neighborhood association in the city really brought pride to them that their work was not unnoticed. And I was visiting with them, and they just wanted me to express again to those that were responsible for making that award and that presentation how much they appreciated it. And it's a new, they're transitioning into a younger leadership team that is going to carry on the tradition and continue to try to work to make the MLK area, you know, a very vibrant community. So thank you, Police Chief and Pharrell and all those who was responsible for recognizing them in that way. They really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and it was nice. Okay, at this point, I think we are at public comments. I see no other requests from council members to speak. The first public comment I have is from Craig Lee from District B.
Good evening. Craig Lee, 1035 Eustis. Ironically, Ms. Farnell gave her presentation on property standards, and today, instead of giving the fair share report that I had scheduled, my neighbor behind me, Ms. Elena Curry, asked me to come speak, and she's here. She's going to speak as well, and she has some photos. We have some serious property standards issues in the city of Shreveport. As a matter of fact, I now call this issue real estate terrorism. We got real estate terrorism going on in this city.
What was that name again?
Real estate terrorism. We got some real estate terrorists, slum landlords. Some of them are attorneys between here and Bossier. And this council needs to step up and do something. Elena is going to talk about specifically what's going on next door to her property, which is behind my property on Eustis Street. Jeff and I live in the Fairfield Historic District. Several of us have taken Mayor dilapidated structures. As a matter of fact, I took a $20,000 dilapidated duplex, gutted it out, turned it into a single family. I run my for-profit, nonprofit business off there. The property is now worth $160,000. Several of us have done that. Elena has 2 properties over there, but she's going to show you photos where we got a guy who doesn't even own this property that's leasing these properties out to unsuspecting and mindless individuals who can't get an apartment because of credit reasons. And there's a hustle. This is basically like the payday loan hustle that's run on poor people. But this is not just about that individual dealing with a loan. This is impacting other people's property. Now, last year they almost burned my house down based on some vagrants trying to stay in this particular property at 1030 Prospect, which is next door to the house that Miss Curry owns. And if it had not been for the fire department, well, my neighbor, first and foremost, being there, and I can now vouch for the Shreveport Fire Department, Bert Crawford, because in less than 2 minutes, they were at my house putting out the fire, and I got back to the house, and I'm like, you know, what's going on? It was like, hey, if your neighbor hadn't have called, your whole house would have got burned down, because we got individuals who are leasing out properties that they don't own. The properties have raw sewer backed up in them. They have electrical problems that could burn down the entire block, and nothing is going on. These guys that just moved out, you would think there's a used tire lot right in the back of our yard. They have left about 50 tires in the back of this yard. They got dead possums on the side of Miss Curry's house. And, you know, we brought this
Can you see those tires from the street?
Huh?
Can you see those tires from the street? Oh,
You can see it from my backyard.
Mr. Chairman, I move, give Mr. Lee
Oh, yeah.
additional time.
Second.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it from my backyard, and at the end of the day, now we had dogs. I mean, they're raising dogs. I mean, they're holding people that's trying to invest in the city hostage. And now Ms. Curry is talking about moving. Now, we started the Fairfield Historic District Association to beautify this area. We've done a great job of bringing property values back, crepe myrtles, the whole 9. We brought businesses over to Fairfield Historic District. But we have a situation now. We have legitimate residents that's going to move out, which is the point that you were making, Councilman Bradford, as it relates to other parts of the city. This goes on throughout the inner core, but definitely even in the Highland and the Fairfield Historic District Association. And now it's impacting our property values. Something definitely has to be done. So when I say that they're real estate terrorists, these people are they're paying tax interest on the property, and they're now going out and leasing these properties to people, pretending that they are selling these people. And the people don't know. These people don't know nothing about real estate. And at the end of the day, this council needs to make this a critical issue, because if we're going to beautify the city and upgrade it, not only with the streets, but our housing value, because this keeps our property values low. And we need to basically do something that is going to dissuade these individuals. And a lot of them are so-called upstanding legal entities taking advantage of poor people.
So-called.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're...
And I mean, they're scum. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you.
I mean, but Mr. Lee, I mean, what action have you taken up to now?
Nothing.
I mean, you.
Well, we brought it here. We basically...
You brought it to who?
To this, not this council, but the last council. Okay. And nothing, you know, was actually done. We basically advocated for a fair housing ordinance to be taking place, because this is a part of what the game is. There is nothing that mandates these slum landlords to basically do right by these folks, because they shouldn't be renting property anyway.
Yeah.
Let me just,
You're the councilman of that district, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Epperson?
Jeff is the
What
councilman.
has worked for me, and I appreciate our clerk, I get calls every day. I write a report, and then I submit it to my clerk and ask him to forward it or refer it to the proper department or persons who can correct those problems. And that way, we got a paper trail on how these issues get resolved. I'm going to suggest that let's use a process to address these issues. This is a serious issue you're talking about.
Well, we did that, and Ms. Farnham they did a good job, but they are backlogged because they have so many of these issues.
But my point is that you are dealing with Ms. Farnham. Let your councilman deal with Ms.
Yeah.
I think I think good suggestion, but I think we're dealing with both this immediate issue of this particular household, but more it's a pervasive problem, and it's something that really the city by ourselves can't solve it, because but we can work with partners and be part of a leadership that can get it solved. It's one of the things that we work to try to have some legislation changed at the state level that was actually on the ballot last year for constitutional changes that did pass. Will help us to be able to respond to these type of situations faster. But there's some additional changes needed at the state level, and our current administration has been working with some of our local elected officials to advocate for some of those. So we are trying to get at some of these structural problems that prevent us from being able to respond to, because this, for instance, this situation that Mr. Lee's talking about here, it's very frustrating for us too, because here somebody comes in and they pay taxes. Even if the city of Shreveport were to prevent the sale of their taxes, which we've tried in certain areas where we may put a hold on somebody being able to purchase that tax interest. Even if we were to do that, now the parish or somebody else who's a taxable entity may not choose to do that, and so one of these tax buyers can still buy their tax interest in it, and then what they do is there's this sort of loophole in the state law where they don't have to actually own it. The person who lives there or owns the property and is in tax delinquency, they still are the owner, but the person who is the tax buyer can scare them out of it or can, intimidate them out of it, and then they rent it out to somebody else.
Crazy.
And that is not illegal. It should be, but it's not. It's very frustrating.
Let me see. My issue was, again, what we do have the power or the preview to address. You start off by saying the nuisance, the deplorable condition of the environment, the tires and dead armadillos. Possums. Okay. Now, again, those are issues that does.
The problem with that, Councilman Bradford, if the people don't complain about it, which they're not, because they're trying to get cheap rent, and they don't understand that they're impacting everybody else's real estate because they're just trying to basically get by.
But you can do it.
Oh, we've done it. I mean, look, we've got the dog patrol. We've done everything we could from that standpoint, other than basically taking a bat and going and busting somebody's head. And we're trying not to do that.
There has been enforcement efforts.
And we're trying not to do that. But that's what this is going to get down to, because you got individuals who don't understand the concept of community that are leasing properties, and they're bringing their mentality to these communities, and they could care less that we made $100,000 investment or Elaine has made $200,000 investment into the Fairfield Historic District. So, and the lawyers that are taking tax interest, at least in the property, they could care less. So we've done the things that we need to do, but like Jeff is just saying, there's a loophole in this, and I think that the city council needs to step to the table and say that the state legislators need to step to the table, because this is serious business. They are pimping a lot of poor people, and these folks have no idea. This is throughout the entire area. You have a property, Willie, in your district, where we're impacting the C.C. Antoine area, which brings in the community development choice communities. This guy lives next door to my brother's house. This guy has basically turned this into a Fred Sanford swap meet next to my brother's house, and he could care less. So these types of things have to be put in check, because if we're going to build up Highland, Moortown, Allendale, Cooper Road, these people are going to have to be put in check because they really feel that they can do whatever they want to do.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you are somewhat enlightened with what's going on.
Absolutely, and certainly appreciate the opportunity to sort of share some of these challenges with both new members of the council and those who've been here for a while. But these are problems that they're kind of pervasive problems, and we've been working on multiple levels to solve them. And I think Mr. Lee's been a very good advocate to help bring some of the particulars of those issues to light. So we continue to look at ways to address those. It's everything from, you got to look at enforcement. What we also are working on ways to provide more options of good housing so that people who need low-income housing don't have to go to alternative methods of securing housing. So you got to attack it from the supply side and also from the demand side.
And Jeff, as you all get ready for your master planning meeting, one of the big critical issues of master planning was suburban sprawl, where a lot of people move from the inner city because they don't want to have to deal with this kind of foolishness.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, at least in other areas, you have housing associations and you have a mandate to cut your yard. You can't paint your house orange, or purple, from that overall standpoint. But you have to deal with these things in the inner city. But at the end of the day, this has to become a major part of it because this goes to the heart of the master planning plan that we put in place.
It does, and absolutely some of those issues of disinvestment and some of those things that come along with that are precisely the types of things that are intended to be addressed, but with the new redevelopment authority.
Which is one of the reasons why the Walmart don't want to be on the Cook.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lee. The next person I have is Miss Alana Curry, who is Mr. Lee's neighbor.
Hey, Elena. Hey.
Mayor, I'm going to piggyback off of what my neighbor has said.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, could I get her name and address?
Oh, yes, if you could state your name and address.
Elenia Curry. I'm at 1046 Prospect Street, Shreveport. I'm piggybacking off of what Craig Lee has said. I'm angry, very angry. All respect to you, sir. When you said, what have we done? I have been doing something from 2009, this has been going on. I have lived through a person climbing under that house for those plumbing issues, which is what I spoke about the last time I was here, that died under that house. I was the one making the calls before that man died to the city. I have called the city, I've written the city, I just wrote the mayor. I noticed after I wrote the mayor that in 3 days those people that were occupying that property were moved. But I have pictures I want you to see of how they left that property and how the owner who does not own the property but yet is renting it to whomever substandardly is letting that house stay wide open, will not board the house. People are coming in and out of that house, and we're in the bed sleeping at night and there's people wandering in and out of that house. That's a concern. Was it a year, Craig? We had he spoke about his house. I had all of my back fence burned down, okay? And also the fence behind that property. When the fire people came, they said had not someone been there, not only would Mr. Craig's kitchen burn down, sir, all of our properties would have burned down. I've invested in my property, I'm a taxpayer, and I don't feel like it's my responsibility to do something when I am doing something, I'm reporting it to this council. I'm reporting it to this city, and I'm very upset about it. I'm tired of when the sun is out, it's raining at my property next door to me, okay, down this driveway. When these people take a bath, the plumbing is not connected. I spoke about all this stuff the last time. When they take a bath, the water hits the ground, and it comes over on my side, eroding my fence line. Also, now I have possums that I'm having to go out and pick up that are going to this area because it stays wet. It stays wet. So that's where they're drinking and so forth. I'm appalled at this. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Miss Curry, if you don't mind, if you could stick around after the meeting, I'd like to meet with you and Miss Farnell and maybe Mr. Crawford, if we could kind of bring together, because I think we're going to need more than just one of our departments to follow up on some of this. I think, again, in the past, this is something I know that there has been enforcement efforts made, you know, and evidently the people who are not owning, I don't know what to call it, they have a tax interest in this property and they're leasing it out. Evidently those people have a very pervasive desire to not obey our laws, and so we're going to need to talk again about what we can do to enforce it a little more heavy-handedly. So if you don't mind sticking around, I'd love to talk with you.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Thank you. Ms. Curry.
Yes, sir.
I hope you didn't misunderstand me when I said, what are you doing?
I've been doing.
In 1990, I mean, your conditions could not be as horrible as my neighborhood, which was the Queensboro neighborhood, was in 1990. Okay. Right. It was bad, and what we did, I started the Queensboro Neighborhood Association. It built it into a very strong association. You know why? Because the community, most of my neighbors, no matter what part of Queensboro we lived in, was experiencing the same problems. Shootings, drugs, crack, gang activity. So we organized, okay? We organized. And instead of me coming to the council saying, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that, and I need y'all to do this and do that, we organized to where we came to the council. We came to the council and we said, this is what we're doing for ourselves. We need y'all to help us eradicate these things out of our community. And all I'm suggesting is that you and Craig is a catalyst to start something big with your council person, okay? And I promise you, those voices would exemplify if everybody on that street, on Prospect, Euless, all those streets around there, would come together and say, listen, this got to be corrected. We can't continue to live under these conditions and be held hostage in our own communities. Okay? So I understand the legislations and the codes and the violations that is going on. But I'm saying, you said, how long you been dealing with this?
I've been dealing with this since 2009, sir. And I have gone to my neighbors, but unlike you were successful. I'm finding that until it hits that person's front door, until they are dealing with these issues right next to them, they put blinders on. They're not concerned until it hits their front door. I walked the street last Sunday, was it correct, with a petition. I had some signatures and so forth, but I wasn't satisfied with bringing those few signatures here. But I was told by someone, well, I work for the city. I can't do anything. But when it hits your front door, I guarantee you'll be glad to do something.
You're right.
We can't make people do. Some people don't care. Some people are not concerned. They're renting. They don't care.
It is something that you're right. I think because there is an active neighborhood association over there that is very active. But I think that sometimes a problem like this is the type that it's so pervasive, and even when somebody hears something good about it, like maybe an improvement was made or something happened, or they see some response over there, they start, in their mind, they write it off as, oh, okay, well, that situation's okay now. Sure. But even though a little something gets better, that doesn't mean the whole thing has gotten better. And sometimes it could be worse from an area where you can't see or where the neighbors might not notice, And so this is a particularly pervasive problem. And so we're going to need to look at it a little closer. But certainly there is an active neighborhood association over there that, has done a really good job at addressing a lot of these issues. I mean, in a lot of respects, these issues have gotten quite a bit better. But this one, unfortunately, seems to be really a hard one to
Mr. Chairman, let me just say that they got it to you. You have a clear understanding of what's going on. If the council can enact something that can assist this situation, I'm going to support you.
Thank you so much. I certainly appreciate that, and I look forward to visiting with you in just a few moments, Ms. Curry. Absolutely.
Thank you.
The next speaker we have on our list is Mr. Remedes. Is he still here? Yes.
He is.
And just for everyone's reference, Mr. Remedies put in a request to speak, but I didn't get it in time to do the earlier public comments. But he was the one, we introduced a resolution number 49 for the city to support his restoration tax abatement application. Now, again, this is one of those situations where in District B, we have a lot of restoration tax abatement applications. They may not be as common in other districts, so just to give a brief overview of what this is a state program that the city participates in cooperation with the state, and it is administered through our community development department, who oversees and does a lot of the background research into these situations. And what it is in certain census tracts, there are eligible areas where somebody can go in and do improvements to a property. And when they make those improvements to the property, their property tax is frozen at the level that it is before the improvements for 5 years. And then after those 5 years, they're able to come back and ask for an additional 5 years if need be. But it is an economic development incentive that we use to get people to come in and invest in parts of our city that have seen disinvestment. Mr. Remedies is here today to tell us a little bit about his project, one that I can, I'm intimately familiar with it. I pass by it quite often, and it is one where I've seen substantial difference in the improvement that they've made. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, very good. Ronnie Remedies, 1200 Marshall Street in Shreveport. Thanks for having me up. I just wanted to, reiterate that your restoration tax abatement program does work. This is our second project in and around downtown Shreveport, and we are looking at a third potential project. It's on Marshall Street, right next to the interstate. This is what we started with a few years ago. The building had been painted with gang graffiti. The vagrants were living in some of the same problems that these folks were facing, we were facing. It caught on fire from the transients. The back photo, I think the photos are not real good. But it had been vacant for more than 10 years. I think when they widened Marshall Street, they lost their parking, and it turned out they moved over to North Shreveport somewhere. That's one of the bathrooms. It was actually built up on a pedestal. The building was built in 1914, so some of the things were a little barbaric. They built in there. The slab was not exactly level. In fact, the tenant that chose not to rent it was a little unhappy with the foundation. It's level from side to side, but has a little few waves in it, but they didn't have the lasers and everything they do now, so it was a little bit struggle to get everything. So this is what we found when we went inside the building. These, you can't really see that one here. So we got with the engineer, architect, and we drew out new plans, new sets of offices, cut down all the weeds in the back, leveled everything off. We actually had to transfer some soil from the other side of the building because it was a swamp. We found that I went to the courthouse and researched what this building had been used for since 1914. It was a number of different things, including a liquor store and a bar and several different type businesses. But the most interesting was when we took the awnings off the front. It had been used for the newspaper back in the 40s and early 50s, Shreveport News Agency. So we had our artists come in and try to restore that sign the best they could, and added some of the new windows to it. We put all new electrical, all new air conditioning, all new plumbing, and all the way out to the road. So we spent quite a bit of money on it, but I think the purpose and intent behind the restoration tax incentives are to, instead of knocking these buildings down, which it was a really obvious business decision just to knock the building down and make a parking lot out of it, and I think that's what people like Jeff that are passionate about these old buildings, and I'm just singling him out because he shared that with me, that love these historic buildings and rather not see a parking lot or a field full of trash is what we had before. So this is what we ended up with. As you can see, it's a modern building. We just, 2 weeks ago, signed our last lease for our new tenant. So Counterculture, the restaurants that you see all over town, they have their corporate offices there now. And a company called Elite Computer Solutions has their offices there. And they've actually expanded since they've been there and created a few more jobs. So it has been definitely beneficial to for the city to abate these taxes for this short amount of time to encourage us as investors to invest back into the community. And this is how it offsets some of the costs, because, you know, when you're putting a pencil to paper, it many times goes in the best interest of just knocking the building down. So, and the one other point I wanted to add was, and I'm saying this as a private citizen and not as a MPC member, but we went over the initial draft page by page to try to make the corrections, the obvious corrections, and I encourage all of you to listen and become involved. And when business people come to you with concerns, you really should take them to heart, because my business partner and I are we're going to wait to see where this goes, the UDC goes, before we have another project that we're looking at. But some of these codes that they're going to have, you know, there's a balance between making our city beautiful and develop effectively and running business off. And a lot of the rhetoric that you hear from the outside sources that we're trying to get counseling from is, well, this is the way they do it in Dallas or Houston or Nashville, Tennessee. But we have to understand what we are before we start to grow. And we don't have 4 million people to offer a developer to come in and build a building into downtown. So if we're as restrictive as some of these places that do have that to offer, they're going to go there because their return on their dollar is not the same. So I've screamed that from the mountaintop until I think they're probably tired of hearing from me. But a lot of times it affects me directly. So I put my money where my mouth is. I have development in downtown Shreveport. So to make it more restrictive and all, it hurts business, and it would cause me to choose to spend my money elsewhere, develop somewhere. So again, it's all about balance, and I understand protecting the integrity of Shreveport, and I want to see it beautiful as we can be. But we just need to be business-minded and make sure that we find ways to encourage business to come here and economic development. And it's not always a rule or a tree or a plant that's going to cause that. So.
It is a balance. You're right about that. Well, thank you. And I do have a few requests to speak. I don't know if these are questions for Mr. Ramirez or if these are more just comments, but Councilwoman Lynch?
I had two. One really was old, but I have a question for him too. What committee on Ms. Curry's, well, the underlying issue is the adjudicated property process, as I heard it. What committee of the council would address that?
Either property standards would be a good place to have a discussion about that. Probably that would be the most appropriate.
Okay, all right. So just quickly, when you say restrictive type things that could be put in, what are you talking about exactly?
Let's say
an example.
Let me give a hypothetical example. I don't want to get, because we're in a public setting, I don't want to get people too upset before we even have a chance.
Okay.
But let's say they made parking more restrictive in downtown Shreveport. And if you had a parking lot, under the new ordinance, you had to remove 20% of your parking and put trees and bushes in. That creates a bigger problem because people don't turn away from downtown because there's not enough plants. They turn away from downtown because there's not enough places to park. While I agree that, again, there's a balance of making our city beautiful, you don't want just a concrete paradise here. But we have to understand that, you know, Liz and the folks at the DDA fight that every day, trying to convince people that it's a good idea to move downtown. And that is the first question that they ask. Where are my employees going to park? You know, they have females that have to walk 4 or 5 blocks at night and during daylight savings time. So that's just one of 25 considerations that you have to give. And you may have people from out of town saying, no, there's not a parking. There's plenty of parking. But what they're referring to is 8 blocks away or 6 blocks away, which I don't think any of us would want to make that walk in the rain. So it's sometimes looks good on paper. We do many times. It is not always in reality. And I get the benefit of seeing both sides of that because of the MPC side, and I understand their intent. Their heart's definitely in the good place, and all of ours are, and I know yours are too. But when I get to see the other side of that, so I'll usually bring that voice to the table to say, hey, this is how this could hurt us as from the outside as business people looking in.
Okay, so is it more the tree hugger type things, or is it quite a few number of things?
There's a number of things that.
Okay.
But this is a rough draft, and I don't want to get caught up on that particular instance.
I just want to have an idea.
I'm just saying it is a broad.
Okay.
Base.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Bradford?
No, I didn't have a comment.
Okay, got it. Some of these may be old, that's why I wasn't sure. Councilman Corbin?
Thank you, Ronnie, for what you're doing. I run on Marshall fairly often, and I've watched your properties over the years get nicer and nicer, and hear good comments about it from folks that I'm around. Well, I may be walking up Marshall Hill sometimes, but no, the properties look great. I appreciate what you're doing and the fact that you're taking advantage of these programs and continuing to invest in the city center. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I will say that Jeff has worked with me on bringing a manufacturing facility into our building, and they're going to rent about 26,000 square feet if we can finally get the deal finalized. But they will begin to manufacture down there, which will create several jobs and lots of rent revenue. So this small amount of taxes that you guys abated, and it's not for the small building, it's my large building next door. The small amount of taxes that we abated, you'll get back tenfold with your sales tax and other means from the city. So.
Well, and
Thank you.
including also, with the area that you invested in when you first chose to invest in it. I mean, that had been an area that had kind of long been forgotten. But having the projects that you've had there have shown, it's kind of proven to people that if you take a chance and you take a gamble on an area of town, if you do it right, you can have some success. And now we see Willis Knighton going in and doing a huge reinvestment in Doctors Hospital right around the corner. And it's going to take continued kind of leaders like that to show the rest of the business community, you can take these chances and they will pay off. And so over and above the immediate impact of what we end up getting out of the jobs created and the, additional sales and business facilitation that's going on, we're also proving a point. We're also proving you can come back into the inner city, you can do things, you can do it right, you can make money, and we can set an example for others to show what we'd like to see more of. So thank you so much, and I don't see any more questions.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your time.
And the last public comment, and thank you for your patience, is Mr. Sammy Mears, who it looks like is going to tell us all about his Easter meal at Knoll.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana 71101, and you're right. I just wanted to say that the Easter celebration meal at Knoll Methodist Church went really good this past Saturday with the food and the drink that they had, and a lot of people came, even in spite of the rain, and they had 4 bicycle giveaways for 4 young kids, which went really good. And we had entertainment where we had a group of men from some part of Louisiana, and their piano player, Jim Brackman, I believe his name was, he played the piano as they sang about so many songs for about 35 or 40 minutes, and they all did a real great job on their singing. Then afterwards, yours truly got to sing 3 songs off of my CD. And then Angela Caesar, who lives at the Jordan Square Apartments, did a good job on his singing. So I'd say the day went really well for all of us, and I know that we're going to look forward to next year when we get to come back and sing again. And since it was mentioned about Uri Drive, I want to say that Broadmoor Baptist Church just had their grand opening of their worship center, and I haven't had a chance to see the inside, but I've seen the outside of the building that they've been working on, and it looks really nice. They just had their grand opening, and I'm sure that they enjoyed that. So if I can get any transportation over there, and I think there's a guy named Clint that I've talked with at the Lovewell Center, and he's going to try to get something arranged for me to get to go to that. And since I mentioned about the Easter meal, a guy named Michael did a videotape with his cell phone and took pictures of me singing. And since I know that Jim Kramer of the Mad Money show in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, has just celebrated 10 years of his legacy of doing Mad Money, I'm going to make sure that he gets a videotape of me singing, and there were pictures that were taken, and he'll get those too. So when Michael contacts me and we get it all worked out, I'm going to send those to him for a little special surprise because he deserves it. Thank you. By the way, I just know that I'm just going to make sure to tell you that when he gets them, there's going to be a happy nut.
Hey, what did you sing?
3 songs off my CD.
What song? You got a CD?
Yeah, I got a little compact disc that Steve Sharp gave us when I was in the choir when he was our music director. He moved on to Plano's, Texas, to another church. I don't know what he's doing now, but I have that and the Celebration Choir Rehearsal CD, so I kind of like to alternate back and forth, like one CD one year, and then I'll use another CD for another. So I've been doing that, and of course there's no CD player here, so it wouldn't work.
You'll have to make it over to Noel one time. But Sammy,
you should have been at Noel Methodist Church for the barbecue chicken that they had.
Absolutely. We'll have to look at. Noel does a lot of good little Highland blessing dinners, and are those at the? Are those Noel or is that at the Highland Center?
Noel Methodist.
That's what I thought.
In their gym.
Yeah, they do the blessing dinners as well, right?
Well, no, they don't do that. The Highland Center does the blessing
That's
dinner.
what I thought.
But the fact is, they had to move to the gym because just as of a while back, they were working on their fellowship hall to get that turned into a worship center, and they spent a lot of money for that over at Noel Methodist. Plus, they got the offices remodeled and installed a brand new elevator, and that took a lot of money and a lot of hard work to get all that done.
It did, and it looks very nice.
And I've seen them. But just wait, Jim Kramer's going to get the videotape of me singing and the pictures of me singing, and you'll say, "Oh, there's a happy man." Well, he'll be a happy man, but there'll be a happy nut.
Well, thank you, Sammy. Have a great one.
Has anyone ever seen the Mad Money show, by the way?
No. But we'll chat afterwards.
I've talked to that man. I've talked to him 11 times.
Oh, well, fantastic. And it is a fun show. Sammy is a regular caller to Mad Money. All right. If there's nothing else, the committee rises and reports, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Oh, wow.
There was some